Kristin Schmoke. Hello, hello. I said that right?
Yeah, you got it.
Good.
Good job.
Kristin works with parents to create strong connections with their child for an unshakable relationship. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, and I can just tell every mama who listens is honed in on how can I have a better relationship with my child, and that is my first question is how did you actually get involved in wanting to help parents have better relationships?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I actually started off as a teacher. And so here I thought I was a really good educator. I knew all the things about kids. So that when I went to have my own kids, I knew it all. Turns out there was a joke involved. And my oldest son was given to me as a joke. Not as a joke, but like to say that I really didn't know all there is to know about kids. And I had a lot more to learn. So I got into it because my oldest son gave me a run for my money.
Okay. And what would you say is a common misconception parents have about their children's behavior?
Yeah, oftentimes parents believe that their child is acting in one way because our behavior actually is a culmination of things that are happening. So I oftentimes tell parents they're like micro triggers. Your child's not actually upset about the red cup that they have to drink out of instead of the blue cup. It's a series of other things that are happening that are leading up to that. And it's creating the big explosion at that point. And what started off as, oh, maybe they got up, they didn't sleep well, they didn't have the pajamas they wanted to wear, they didn't have the cereal they wanted for breakfast, and now it's the cup. And so it's really not just the cup. There's so much more to it. And I kind of like to quote the famous philosopher Ted Lasso: get curious about your child's behavior instead of judgmental. So slow down and really take a look and see what they're doing and start asking questions.
But in that moment, when your child is having that outburst about the red cup, what do we do?
Good question. So what you're going to do is you're going to pause. So the biggest thing you can do is stop. Our society is very reactionary, and we would like for you to just stop, take a breath for a moment, and kind of assess the situation. Is this something I need to engage with, or is this something I don't need to engage with? And you get to decide in that moment, and then you get to be your best self, right? So you get to decide, okay, this is something I have to get involved in because now my child's throwing the cup across the room and, kicking their sister or whatever. That's when you get to come in and you get to co-regulate. It's a term that a lot of parent coaches use. Your child's emotions are really high, and they're going to borrow your calm. So you're going to kind of come in and you're going to make your body present around them, and you're going to help them to release that tension that they've just experienced.
Okay, and how do I do that? I mean, I get it. I get the whole don't react. And I know for myself, I'm becoming aware of that as a conscious parent, like this isn't about the red cup. And I realized from now experience that I have, if I don't react right away on her level of freaking out, and and also remember that, I'm the parent, just calm, everything's calm. And knowing that, I think what it is, we do have to understand that it isn't about the red cup. And it's like we have to remember that they are only 2, 3, 4. They're just little people and they don't know how to use their emotions. I think what a lot of parents struggle with is that when you want to come down to their level, but they're not reacting, you can't get them down to your level and they're still going crazy. What do you do?
Yeah, so you can't control that. It's all a personal thing. So what you need to know is I talk to parents about that the child has flipped their lid. So that basically means that their prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that is in charge of rational thinking, is completely offline. Okay. So think of your child as being not able to receive Wi-Fi at this point. They are all emotional, and you have to wait for it to come down. So I tell parents to get low, slow. So low and slow means get below their eye level or primal beings. Eyesight above is threat. So if you think of dogs, like you'll see one dog be submissive to the other by getting lower. Do the same and move slowly. And the less words you say, the better. You can just repeat like a simple phrase like, I love you. Mommy's here. It's all going to be okay. Something that might be soothing. Your child might totally respond bigger with that. Just know it's okay. Stay in it. Stay present. Stay low and stay slow, and remember to, like, you might feel your heart race a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So take big breaths, slow yourself
Yes.
down, and it's okay. A lot of times we forget that these emotions are normal,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't actually mean anything about us as a parent. So allow your child to experience it, because a child fully experiences the emotion all the way through their body.
Mm-hmm.
They have to think of it as like a train going through a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
They literally have to go all the way through it. And so it might get bigger before it gets smaller. And that's okay, and it's totally normal, and it has nothing to do with you as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's your child being a human.
Right. And then learning how to deal with their emotions, just like we're still learning that at our age, right?
Yeah. We want them to experience it.
Exactly.
Right? Because we don't want them to get in their 40s and be like, I was never allowed to feel my feelings.
Like,
and
don't
now
cry.
I'm in therapy forever.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. I'm like, no, let it out.
Yeah. And it's okay.
Exactly.
It really is okay.
So what is one piece of advice you can share with my audience about if there's parents struggling with really how to connect with their child, really connect on a deep level?
Yeah. So the first thing I think I've already said it is that just slow down and observe. Like, that's really the first thing. Our society is so fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. If you can take a step back and kind of get like a bird's eye view and be like, is this moment really that important? Or maybe it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. See if you can step back and just observe what's going on. Take a breath, and then go in and get curious, right? I always ask parents to start the conversation with, hey, I've noticed. I'm curious. So when we are noticing behaviors with our children that we're not able to connect about, because usually it's like they're not taking out the trash, they're breaking curfew. The video games is a big one. Like, how do I get them off video games? Or they're on video games all the time. Or even just like when I ask them to do anything, I get a big response like, oh, I have to do that again.
Right.
So having these conversations with your children of like, I've noticed that when I ask you to take the trash out, you don't. I'm curious. Can you tell me more about that? And your child might respond with, oh, I was playing a video game with a friend right now. I'll do it later. Or it can lead to whatever conversation, but you're learning a little bit more about what's going on with them rather than just viewing the behavior as disrespectful or dismissive. And a lot of times as parents, we just don't feel heard. Right. We don't feel like our child is living up to our family values. So we explode, we get big, and we get triggered. But if we can ask the questions like, hey, I've kind of noticed you're not doing this, like the video games, I asked you to get off, but you're not getting off. Like, I'm curious what's happening for you. And then from there, you can say, okay, well, what can we do to change this? How can I support you to do differently? And I think that really allows an opportunity for deeper connection with your children, because rather than judging the behavior as disrespectful, now you're like, oh, they were just busy at the moment, but they're still going to do it. And maybe it's not as simple as that, but there definitely is that component, is just understanding what they're thinking. And you'll see where you can start asking those questions really to anybody in your life.
Right. Yeah. That was really helpful. Those questions, I know a lot of parents are in the phase of, and it doesn't even matter what age they're at. It's always every day you don't know what you're going to get. So your expertise and what you're providing is very important. And that being said, is there anything that you have coming up, like a workshop or any events, anywhere anyone we can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always say the hardest part is spelling my name, but you can find me at Kristin Schmoke, Kristin.schmoke.parenting on Instagram.
Great.
Or KristinSchmoke.com is my website. But I do not have, I don't need to say that.
Yeah. It was just like a spitfire question out to see where you're going to go. Well, that was great.